Okay, so have you ever, like, wish you could just switch between languages? You know?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
effortlessly. Imagine, like, debating philosophy but in French.
Ooh la la.
Or, like, haggling for souvenirs, but you're doing it in Mandarin.
That'd be impressive.
I know. It's like, that'd be so cool, right? Like,
Yeah.
you could unlock a whole world of, like, connection and communication.
For sure.
Well, today we're diving into some tips to help boost your English skills.
Nice.
Whether you're just starting out or maybe you're, like, looking to become totally fluent, we've got something for you.
Cool.
We're pulling these awesome insights from this really cool guide that's designed for people learning English.
Okay.
And it's packed with, like, really practical advice.
I like that. Practical advice is good.
So one thing that I found really interesting about this guide is it doesn't just, like, throw random tips at you.
Right.
It starts by saying, hey, you got to set some clear goals.
Yeah.
Achievable goals.
That's a good foundation.
Yeah, totally. Like, are you learning English because you want to travel
Right.
or for work?
Hmm.
Or maybe just because you love learning languages?
It's a good question. What are your goals for learning English?
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about it. You could have a goal like, I want to be able to have a conversation with a native English speaker and feel totally confident. Or I want to be able to, like, read novels in English and understand everything.
That's a good one.
Right. It gives you something to work towards, which I think is really motivating.
Totally. It's like having a target.
Exactly. And speaking of motivation, this guide also dives into the power of immersion, like surrounding yourself with the language as much as you can.
Ooh. Tell me more.
Yeah, so even when you're not studying, you could be watching movies in English,
That's classic.
listening to podcasts,
Uh-huh.
or even, like, just labeling stuff around your house in English.
Wait, really?
I actually tried that once.
Did you?
I labeled everything in my kitchen, like all the cupboards and the appliances. I mean, it was surprisingly helpful,
Interesting.
although my family thought it was a bit weird.
I can imagine.
But it's like you're creating this little English-speaking world around you, even if you're just at home.
I love that idea. Mini immersion.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And, it actually kind of works.
It makes sense. You're constantly seeing and thinking about the words.
Yeah. And then another thing that this guide highlights is active listening,
Okay.
which is not just hearing the words, but really trying to understand, like, what the speaker's actually trying to say.
Getting the nuances.
Yeah, exactly. You're picking up on, like, the context, the tone of voice, all those little subtle things that can change the meaning of what someone is saying.
It's like you become a language detective. You're looking for clues.
That's such a good way to put it. I know I've definitely had those moments where, like, I understood all the words someone was saying,
Right.
but I totally missed the point because I wasn't paying attention to how they were saying it.
It happens.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And this guide also stresses that it's super important to practice actually speaking the language.
For sure, you gotta use it.
I know. It can be a little scary at first,
Yeah.
especially if you're not used to it. But they say finding a language partner or maybe joining an English conversation group can make a huge difference.
It's true. Having someone to practice with makes it so much easier.
It does, and it's way more fun, too. And you know what? You can even record yourself speaking English and listen back to it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a great way to kind of see how you're doing and pinpoint areas where you could improve.
And the best part is you don't have to be perfect. Making mistakes is part of the learning process.
Exactly. In fact, this guide actually says we should see those mistakes as opportunities to learn.
I love that. It takes the pressure off.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes the whole thing feel much less intimidating.
Yeah, it makes it more about exploration and less about, being right all the time.
Right, exactly. It's about, like, enjoying the process of learning.
Exactly. Yeah, it takes the pressure off, like it's okay to mess up.
Totally. Okay, so let's talk about vocabulary. This guide has some really good advice for that.
Okay, yeah, vocabulary is key.
It is. And they say instead of just trying to learn, like, every word you come across, it's better to focus on the words and phrases that are actually relevant to you.
That makes sense. Like tailor it to your goals.
Exactly. So if you're learning English because you want to travel,
Yeah.
then you'd probably want to prioritize words related to things like transportation, accommodation, maybe sightseeing.
Right, the stuff you'll actually use.
Exactly. It's like you're building your own personalized vocabulary toolbox.
I like that analogy.
And then, of course, there are the classic techniques for learning new words, like flashcards,
Yep, those are staple.
apps. There are tons of vocabulary building apps out there.
So many, yeah.
and even just like playing word games.
Oh, I love a good word game.
Me too. I'm all about those crossword puzzles and word searches.
Those are fun, and they're sneaky good for learning new words.
Totally. It's like you're learning without even realizing it.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about grammar.
Yeah, grammar can be a bit intimidating.
It can be, but this guide actually has a really refreshing take on it.
Oh, tell me more.
They don't want you to get bogged down in memorizing all these complicated grammar rules.
That's a relief. I'm not great at memorizing rules.
Right. Instead, they say you should learn through context, like by reading and listening to real English.
That makes so much more sense. Like you naturally pick up on the patterns and how the language actually works.
Exactly. It's more organic, less textbooky.
And the cool thing is, there are so many resources available now that can help you with grammar.
Oh, for sure. There are tons of online courses, interactive exercises, even apps that can check your writing for grammar mistakes.
I know, it's amazing. I actually started using one of those grammar checking apps recently.
Oh, nice.
It's been a game changer. It catches all those little errors I would have totally missed.
Yeah, they can be lifesavers.
And the best part is, it explains why something is incorrect.
That's so helpful. It's not just correcting you, it's teaching you.
Exactly. So you're actually learning from your mistakes. Which brings us to another important point. Writing.
Right, the guide talks about that too.
They really emphasize the importance of writing practice.
Yeah, even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
Totally. And they suggest all sorts of things you can write.
Like what?
You could keep a journal in English.
That's a good one.
Write essays, even just practice writing emails or social media posts in English.
Oh, I like that. It doesn't have to be formal writing, it can be anything.
Right. It's all about getting comfortable with using the language in different ways. And you know what else is awesome for practicing?
What's that?
All the language learning apps and online resources that are out there now.
Oh my gosh, yes, there are so many.
It's incredible. And this guide actually recommends a few specific platforms that they found particularly helpful.
Oh, cool. Like what?
There's one for practicing vocabulary, another for grammar, and even one that helps with pronunciation.
It's like having a whole team of language tutors right in your pocket.
Right. Technology is amazing. I've actually been using this app that lets me have conversations with an AI.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, it's crazy realistic, and it's helped me a ton with my pronunciation and just feeling more confident when I speak.
That is so cool. It's like having a practice partner available 24/7.
It really is.
Yeah.
But you know, even with all these amazing technological tools, this guide still emphasizes the importance of human connection.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no replacement for that.
They talk about how valuable it is to find a language partner, maybe join an English conversation group, or just try to have conversations with native English speakers whenever you can.
It's true. Those real-life interactions are so important.
They are. It's a chance to practice in a real-world setting, you know?
Right. And you learn so much more than just the language. You learn about culture, you make connections with people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be like formal practice. The guide encourages us to just try to make English a part of our daily lives, even in small ways.
Like how?
Oh, you can try thinking in English while you're going about your day, listening to English music in the background.
Right, or following English-speaking social media accounts.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about creating that immersion, making English a natural part of your routine.
And that kind of leads into another key point that this guide highlights: consistency.
Oh, consistency is huge.
It really is. They recommend setting aside some time each day for studying, even if it's just for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's better to do a little bit every day than to try and cram a ton of learning into one day.
Totally. And the key is to make it a habit, like make it part of your daily routine.
Exactly. And I love that they also emphasize celebrating those small wins along the way.
Oh, absolutely. Every little victory deserves to be celebrated.
It does. Like every new word you learn, every conversation you have, every time you feel a little bit more confident, those are all wins.
It's about recognizing your progress and staying motivated.
Exactly. Which, speaking of motivation, this guide actually has some really good advice for staying motivated and avoiding burnout.
Ooh, I'm always up for motivation tips. What do they say? Well, they talk about how it's important to remind yourself why you're even learning English in the first place.
Oh, that's good. Like, what are your goals?
Yeah, what are you hoping to achieve? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? You know, by connecting with those deeper motivations, it can really help to fuel your passion and keep you going when things get tough.
That makes a lot of sense. It's easy to get kind of lost in the everyday stuff of learning.
Right.
But remembering that bigger picture can be really powerful.
Yeah, it can give you that extra push. And they also talk about the importance of like finding joy in the process, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
Exactly. And so they encourage us to experiment with different learning styles and find what works best for you.
I like that. Like, figure out what you enjoy.
Yeah, like are you someone who learns best by seeing things or by hearing things? Or maybe by doing things. Like there's so many different approaches, so try them out and see what clicks.
It's all about making it fun.
Exactly. It should be enjoyable. And they also recommend setting realistic goals, like breaking down big tasks into smaller chunks.
Oh yeah, that's always a good strategy.
It is, and it makes things feel less overwhelming. And don't forget to reward yourself for those milestones that you achieve.
Yes, celebrate those wins no matter how small.
Exactly. It's all about creating like a positive and sustainable learning environment.
I love that, where you feel supported and encouraged.
Yeah, and remember, language learning is a journey. It's not a race.
That's so true.
You know, it's okay to progress at your own pace and just enjoy the process.
I think that is such a good reminder. It takes the pressure off.
It does. And so as we wrap up our conversation about all these great tips for learning English, I think it's important to emphasize that language learning is an ongoing journey.
It really is. You're always learning.
Yeah, it never really stops. Even fluent speakers continue to learn and grow.
That's a good point. It's about staying curious and open to new things.
Exactly. So as we come to the end of our deep dive here, I want to leave you with a question to think about. What's one small step you can take today to boost your English skills?
I love that. It could be anything.
It could be anything. Like watching a short video in English, maybe reading an article,
Yeah.
or even having a quick conversation with a language partner.
It doesn't have to be a big thing.
No, not at all. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can make a difference over time.
Absolutely. And the key is to find those pockets of time throughout your day and use them wisely.
Exactly. And remember, the most important thing is to be patient with yourself.
Oh, patience is key.
It is. You know, learning a language takes time and effort. There will be times when you feel frustrated or when you face challenges, and that's okay.
That's all part of the process.
It is. And those moments of struggle often lead to, like, those amazing aha moments and breakthroughs.
Those are the best.
They are. So embrace the challenges.
Yeah.
Celebrate your victories. And most importantly, don't give up.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure diving into all these tips with you today.
Likewise, I always enjoy these conversations.
I feel like we've covered so much ground, and hopefully we've given our listeners some really valuable advice.
Yeah, for sure. And remember, listener, wherever you are on your English learning journey, don't be afraid to experiment, to make mistakes, and most importantly, have fun.
Yes. Language is about connecting with others.
Absolutely. It's about communication and broadening your horizons.
Well said. Keep exploring, keep learning, and who knows what amazing opportunities might open up for you.
You got it.